Alright, I have no idea why it stopped recording on me. My phone literally just popped up some screen and shut my camera off on its own. But we were just saying a story is a tail, right? And a tail is a penis. It comes from the word penis. And penis relates to the word pen, too. The pen is a feather, one thing. And that's what you can see later. It gets weighed, right? You get weighed. The heart is weighed versus the feather. But this comes into play eventually in this train of thought. The pen writes the story. It's written. A writ is a spell, right? A writ, if you cast a writ or spell. And the story is written down. And down can relate to being beaten or humble, low, grateful. There's a lot of ways you can relate being low to positive things, to being small instead of trying to be like large and overbearing, or not being I think gentle, or more of a kindness, humble, just but like alone, right? Alone, lone. Alone is a debt. A debt is sin, right? And we've got that dragon eating his tail. So what's one thing to drag on? To be drag on, right? If you're drug on, well, it's one thing, it's drug. Drug is medicine, right? Medicine. I sin. Need I sin. Then there is, and don't forget how the C relates back to the mirror, to I. Like everything's like a mirror, reflection. You'll see here how you're dragon eating his own tail, like Kronos eating his own children, Father Time, like the circle. It's like a circle of life, basically. It's not a horrible thing. Don't think like eating children like disgusting, like like some evil thing. It's more of a continuation, like a ring, right? And when something rings, it's a tone. And the tone means at one. It means one thing. It means at one, and it means to be atoned. It means to be reconciled. Reconcile something is a chord, right? A chord actually comes from the word concord. My memory is right. Which concord, right? Cons are in prison. Felons, felon, low, down, fallen, felons. Basically those that are on the earth, right? Down on earth, the ground, grounded. You're grounded. You're in jail. You're grounded. Felony, fell on my knee. Atonement, right? Attune. The Concord, right? And Concord's famous for what else too? It's grapes, right? So a concord, the string, the the connection between us all, love and concord. It's grapes, right? What's that? Makes that wine. And wine links to at one, a tone, which is a tune. Chord is in a tune. To tune something's to, to fix it up. Think like medicine. To adjust it. To zero in, right? Zero. O, another. Back to being low. That low number. In a circle. Again, the O. Where something owed. A debt. A sin. But something owed, right? It's going in a circle. Father time's eating his children. Look at this. Okay, look at this tree. He drops his leaves, right, and stuff. And then he drops some branches now and then and stuff like that. And other things eat those. Some things eat the wood. Certain bugs will eat the wood. Certain funguses will eat it. Things will eat the leaves. Certain things they'll decompose. That's the song, right? The song's composed. The music. When you face the music, you're facing the charges against you, right? The charges your heart, the battery, the cell. So when you're facing the music, you're admitting your guilt, basically, or you're admitting you're alive. In a sense, like this tree is. And everything it drops, everything else is eating it, right? Like everything is like eating something else to survive. And of course it shits it back out, right? That's the big part of the cycle. And then something else eats it. And it turns into fertilize, right? Fertilize. Something that grows more. So you don't think of it's a way to think of that disgusting picture they show, that painting of Kronos eating a baby, looking all gory. And it's not exactly the picture I have. This is more just an actual circle of life, just the same way it occurs. That's just another way to represent it, that painting of Kronos. It is a way to represent it. I mean, and technically it's true what it's showing. It's just, I don't know if it's the most healthy way to actually think about it, maybe, right? But I mean, it's happening everywhere. So after you're facing the music, and after you die, right, what are you going to do? You're going to decompose. Like right now, you're a composer. You're composing. You're creating the music. That's another word for pen, right? Pen goes into... I'm able to get from pen into pain. And piana, I think. Piona. I forget the exact words without them in front of me. You're able to get from pen to pain into poem. And it eventually means to create. Like that I create. Create. A cree, right, is a writ or a promise or a declaration, a statement. Create. You can just see it. You can think of it too like infinity, right? The infinity symbol is the shape of an 8. It's also it's a circle. It's like a circle with a twist, right? It's really just a circle if you twisted it in the middle and have a twist. It's like two sides of almost like so you can see two sides of the circle, the 8. Let's see here. Yeah. All right, and the other thing to tune something, right, it would be calibrate. I think Caleb is an interesting word too, or Caleb. I believe that's an angel that I need to look into. and 8. And a tune's also, like we said, it's a song, right? Atonement, a tune, a song. Like when you sing, you confess, right? So if you confess, you're singing, you sing. A tune means air. To tune something, the tune is it's aired if you tune in. And err is also a sin, right? If you've erred, you need to atone. If you've made an error in your judgment, say, like that. You can see how these words seem to always kind of relate, right? So we're still 10 feet to a story. Can you see how what's starting to form here? This picture, I don't know if I can explain it in words. It's more of a picture in my mind. Let's talk about a little more about 10, right? Because 10 feet, 10. So far, all we really got is the 10 sins, basically. Although we have 10 as being the pinnacle or the peak or the climax too, right? Like the ending. Usually when it's usually a goal, the climax is a goal, which is really close. That word jail, Jaol, that means love in prison, also stems from goal. The word goal, Goal. You can see how they're close together they are. And when you've reached the climax, right, it'll have been gold. Past tense of it's gold, right? You think of that. Which also means you won. At one. Atone, right? Atone, at one. Atone. A song, a tune. So right now, I think we're playing that song, right? We're composing, because it's not over. We haven't reached the climax. Climax is defined as death. When you start looking into the word death, death is considered the pinnacle, the peak, or the climax. It's the end, the goal. So right now, we're composers. We're composing. One day we will die and decompose and continue and be eaten, and Father Time, or you'll see time, the watch, the sea, everything, the circle. Basically, the clock is just the circle. The circle of life will consume us, but it'll spring forth new life from it. And it's us. I mean, it's still our energy. It's still us. Like it's always us. There only is us. So, I mean, it's always us, right? Everything is us. It's all connected. We're in prison, right? We're in love. We've fallen in love. We're feloned in jail. It's the same thing. Fallen in love. But the time or a tone comes from wine, right? So when you've finally atoned or you've whined, you cry or have cried, which cries relates to the Christ. And the crier, the caller, is an old word that I can't pronounce, an old Sanskrit word. It means cock. It's the cock, the collar, which right back to the pen is. The pen is, right? Penis. The feather, the father, feather, father. Or it's the male aspect, energy. The feminine energy, I believe, is the water. But we'll get to that more. That's basically like the canvas that the pen writes on. It's where creation happens. It's where it's born. But it takes them both, right? It's just like life. It takes both. It takes the male and the female to create the life. But the female is where the life actually grows. That's the paper. That's where the story grows. That's where it's actually born, where it's kept and brought to life. incubate eight again, right? Incubate. And we'll see the cubes even relate, but I'm not going to go into the cube stuff right now, but the cubes do relate, and you can unfold a cube to a perfect cross, basically. Not really a cross, and it's a crucifix, not a cross. Those really aren't the exact same thing. But yeah, and the cube of Saturn, right? There's a cube on it, which is Saturn is basically relates to Chronos. But let's go back with more of that, the pinnacle, the peak, right? Gold, wind, one, at one. It's the a tine, right? The pinnacle, the peak, the zen, or a tine is a prick, right? The penis is going to be a prick. It's also a spear, and spear relates. You can see that the word peer is in spear, like the word to peer, to see. And it's also where semen comes out on, climax comes from, right? And you can get the word sphere out of it too, like a circle, a globe, a sphere. A circle can also be something is round or wound, which is the same word as wound. Wound and wound are just the same word. Which makes me think a little bit of a word a friend mentioned today, which a wound can also be a cyst, which is the same word as kissed. And the kissed is chest, right? Kissed is a chest that you like hide like loot in, or something, like treasure or something like that. Like a box. It's also kind of like a fine box. It's also a chest. It's another word for a coffin. And so I think like Scotland or something Scottish, it's a coffin. And you cough from your chest, right? When you cough or have a coffin, it's like you have a chest congestion, right? Or if you kiss someone, kissed, it's usually a sign of affection or love, connection, right? Back to that connection. Or you can have, say, a trunk, which trunk is where we get trunk comes from an elephant has a trunk, right? They call it a trunk because that's where we end up getting the word trumpet, because when people made trumpets, they looked like an elephant trunk, and the sound that they make, like it's a trunk. Somehow those words relate in etymology and stem from each other. So you can get a trumpet, and trumpets kind of relate to this whole theme too, right? If you can think about the end, in the end there's supposed to be trumpets that sound, that signify it. Maybe that kissed, and right before Jesus was beaten via 10, right? Before he was, killed and rose again, what did he do? He got kissed by Judah, right? I believe it was Judah or Judas. He was betrayed, right? And I have to tell you, people, I read the Bible, but it was a long time ago. And I still reread parts of it kind of all the time, but it's like a passage, a page or a chapter. I need to read it more. That is a really long book, and I study so much. I take in so many religions and so many different concepts and things. Like, I don't know so I'm not here being like Mr. Super, like, Christian or whatever guy. I'm not like, I don't even feel like I have the kind of authority to say like that I know the Bible well enough to you know what I mean? I'm not. It's not me. But I do reference it a lot because it fits, and I know it. When it fits what I know, I'm going to say it. You know what I mean? That's basically what it is. So, but yeah. So right before he was to reach that pinnacle or peak, the time, the climax, this death, he was beaten. So we're kind of getting that a little bit, links to that kissed, right? He was betrayed, and then it was a wound, right? He received wounds. And his blood was considered, what did he say it was? It was wine, right? Whined. Wine, he cried. Whined. Whirled, wound, whirled. To turn. And you'll see, whined goes into... to turn goes into this word called, I believe it's wide, W-I-D-D, I believe, and G-Y-W-D-D, or it might be G-W-Y-D-D. I get it confused a lot when I look it up. I often type it the wrong way. It's basically, it means wood. It's the word for wood. And it also means loom, to turn. And they both stem from the same word, wide and wade, meaning to see and to turn. So, when you get to that, turn, tind, T-I-N-D, tind, means to start a fire, but it's it also links from the word tine, T-I-N-D, and T-I-N-E. You'll see, look at the etymology, you'll see they link together. It also means... We're getting at the spinning part, right? So you can take wood and it goes into branch, like the word good. It's that word good, G-Y-W-D-D, also can be pronounced God, good. And it goes into tree. It means tree. It means branch. And trees and branches, right, are when you think things like that are all connected, like fractals, like patterns. It's like a tree, or data comes out in a log, right? Like all memories, like your past data is stored in a log file, log. They have rings, right? The trees, when they grow, they have the rings inside for their age. And in a tree, a branch is also called a stick. It's another word, good, it means this. It's the definition of it. It means a branch, a tree, a stick. And it means a wand. That's when you start to go into things like wind. Wand, wind. One, wand, W, to be at one, atone, wand, the goal, the climax. Wonder, wander. To seem, right? The climax, semen. Semen comes from the word, also means it's S-E-E-M-A-N, see, man. It means to seem, to wonder. And what else? To seam, to sew, right? Semen is to sew, cut, hew. To seam, that's like a seamstress. To sew, the thread, the concord. It's getting dark. So, you can get from wand to wind, to tind, to tend, to tend to something, attend, to tend. To be present, the now, the gift, to attend, atone. At one, to have won. To seem means to believe, right? Your beliefs. Believe, right? Think about, excuse me, out of breath. Kronos eating his children, right? The A10, be a 10. Your belief. Leaving. The climax, the peak, like death when you leave. When you're going to be eaten and consumed and born again, right? It just repeats. Circle, the sphere, the spirit, the breath, in and out, over and over. Inhaled, exhaled, hail, to hail. All right, so the stick, right? Wand, stick, wood, or wade, to see, the loom. The stick comes back to, well, a tine, a peak, a spear, glue, cement, which is semen. Or to seem, to believe. So believing would be awake. When you leave, like when you die, more than likely, that's what the ceremony they always called awake. So you leave awake in the morning, right? You wake in the morning. Morning is when you cry, when everybody cries. The Christ, the pinnacle, the peak, the climax. And see, it's a little dark. I mean, we're talking about death, but we can't not talk about death. But what I'm saying is it's a circle, I believe. I think it's a circle. I'm looking at words that point to that, right? Right, so another word for the point, or stick, to be stuck, the tine, the point, is pitch. Pitch has a lot of interesting meanings, but it does mean the point or the peak, the tune, which pitch, the tone, right? It also means, pitch means tar. Like pitch, to be stuck, to pitch, to tar. Target, right? To get target. What's target? The pinnacle, the peak, the bullseye. What's the pinnacle or the peak of the target? It's the bullseye. And bowl comes from ball. Ball comes right back to penis again, right? Or semen, actually, I'm sorry. Ball comes back to semen. Balls, the ball sack, you know. But the prick, the spirit. Jesus was the spirit, and he was the key. He said, like, he's the key. He's the only way through to the Father, is through him. The Father is who eats you, right? Recycles and brings you back through for another trip. There's no way to him but through him, through the spirit. The peak, the pinnacle, the point. The only way through him is through the climax, through your death, right? The only way to him is through him. It's through Jesus, which means, you know, your I, J, the I, the we. Zeus, the fish, or else the swine, the pig. And pigments are colors, hues, humans. Pigmentation. So yeah, I'm sorry if I pause sometimes. I tend to lose my train of thought at times, trying to just, because of my surroundings, focusing on what's happening here. And I'm going the right way, which I'm not. Yeah, I am. Alright. It's getting dark. So yeah, right? So we're talking about that pinnacle or peak. Awake in the morning. A wave, right? Awake, a wave. A frequency, energy, charges, to bring charges. The morning, the sun, the light, or the sword, the down, the forgiveness, the atonement, the humbleness, the gratefulness, grateful. So that spirit, right? You can only get through the spirit to the Father. Well, it's interesting. So a tone is a pitch, right? Like we said, it means tar, stuck. You get the target and the bullseye. But a pitch or a spear, to be stuck, is the definition of a key, right? A key comes from the word spear, which makes sense because atonement, the only way to the Father is through me. The only way to Him was what? To ask Him for forgiveness, for atonement, to sing your song, to confess, to basically to speak what you want and to say what you did wrong, to admit. Just to admit one. When you want a ticket to something, when you want to ride, you get a ticket, it says usually admit, right? Admit one. Admit wins. That's who won. That won. Tick it, right? Time, the clock, ticking, ticket, tick, tick-tock, tick-tock, word, bond, talking, spoken, the time, the peak, a wheel, spoken, wheel, we ill, medicine, right? But a key is a very interesting word because it comes from the word spear, which is that spirit. And it's a little personal to me. But that would be, I guess, no, I'm not the only person in the world with the name Roger, okay? Although I tell you what, I see a lot of other links that relate to just like to me too, with even just being Penn, Sylvania, in the lake where I happen to live, this Erie, and there's just a lot going on with me personally that I see, but I bet you can find these things too that relate to you because we're all connected. I mean, you can. They have to be. You just got to see what you see. Because what I'm giving here is not answers. These are questions, right? These are things I ask. I don't know the answers, although I feel like they relate to me. I feel like I might know some of my own answers, but I don't know what your answer is, okay? But before that, I had to get that out before I go here, because it's going to feel like it's a little about me, but spear is what my name from, right? Roger, rod plus gar. And gar is also a type of fish, garfish, fish with teeth. Sus has the same meaning, S-U-S, is a fish with teeth, garfish, hog or swine, a fish or a swine. Basically it's a garfish though, specifically. And the rod comes from a famous spear or lance, and it means fame and renowned. Now, owned, it means re-owned, right? Like the circle. That's the spirit, reowned. But Roger also means penis, right? So there's back to the pen. The pen is. It means to have intercourse. It means to have sexual intercourse, rogering. It means rustic. The rust, the color rust is generally, it leads into this color that looks like kind of like wine or like blood. This rust color. And Roger also goes into words like rouge and rogue, and roar. But it also means to be received and understood. Like when you say like Roger that, means you understood it, received and understood. It also means ascension. So if you just like look up go to Google, type definition, you'll see it means ascension, which is, I'm not really 100% sure how that links to me. That's personal stuff, but I can see how it links to this, to the spirit, right? And ascension, and to be received. And the pen, the pinnacle, the point, the time, the feather, being weighed to see, right? Wound or to turn the world against the heart, the hearth, earth, hearth. The heart relates to the hearth, to the fire, right? The turn, the world. Remember, turn leads into tind, T-I-N-D, tinned, which is world. And tind means tinder, which means to start the fire. If we get tinder. And tender, tender, to make that exchange, to atone, to be atoned is to make reprimends. It's to be, the balance is owed, is tendered. Yeah. I'm not going to go much more into me from there. There's a lot of stuff I see that links to me. I mean, we'll just maybe mention Pennsylvania, right? Which is Penn's Woods. Pennsylvania. Penn was from William Penn, right? Will, I am, Penn. And then Sylvania just means woods. But yeah. Yeah, and there's another, so, sorry about the pause. I was trying to think of this word, and it was what I got to from the pen and penis. It's a penni, penny, penni, and you get to penna, pennon, P-E-N-N-A-N, pennon. An old English word. It eventually leads us into tino, or tenyitai. It means 10. One thing is that it means, it also means pen and penis. It means 10, which is the pinnacle, the point, right? The peak, the fork, the stab, the jab, the poker, the spoke, the spoken, the spirit. But this word links them all together. It's T-E-I-N-O. It's a really old word. I think it's maybe Hebrew, and I don't know how to pronounce it in that, or even pronounce the letters. I'm sorry, but it basically means 10. But it also means to stretch, or to extend, or to spread. And what does the penis do? It spreads. It spreads what? Seeds, semen, seed, sown seed. Right? And I think I'm going to stop there for now. This is a lot to go into, like a lot. And like I said, I don't know if I'm going to release this video or not. If you see it, I did, obviously. But I feel like maybe I should refine it. But I probably won't. I'll probably post this as is. for you people, and I'll probably just make more of them and try and cover things that I felt like I missed and stuff, and do it again in another way, which I know I missed a lot, like I did. I mean, we didn't even get into from pitch into the words like an angle or angle. We get NGEL, angel, which is what? Got a band on, a ring, a tone, something owed, or in jail, in love. Or that the fact that the word pitch comes from the word pick, picks, if you pick something, a point, a period, an age, a passage of time, a period, a stage, a feat, trial, 10 feet to a story, chapters, stages, world to stage it, you plan it, to plan it if you stage it. And pics, right? Pics gets us into photographs, photo, means light,